Welcome to the world of unapologetic living. This world introduces a whole new way of life without fear, shame, guilt, judgment, and absolutely no fucking apologies. An all-inclusive world where you are celebrated just as you are, shadows and all. A path to your own fullest and freest life, uniquely your own, while beautifully connected to all. I'm Sarah Grady, a soul having a wild human experience, and I am honored to hold this space with you and to be a part of your journey. Choosing to step into this world means choosing you and transforming your life from merely surviving it to thriving and loving the hell out of it. Let's change the world together, shall we? Welcome back, friends, to the world of unapologetic living. And true to my nature, I retreated for a minute. That's a part of my path, is you take leaps into the unknown, and sometimes you have to maybe hermit a little bit to understand your own process. And a part of being unapologetic in that way is trusting your own process. There's so many times along my journey that I was told that I was self-sabotaging, and I told myself that I was self-sabotaging. And yeah, it could be defined as that. But every time I took the retreat and I would hermit, I wasn't being inactive. I was integrating and taking a look into my life and resting. And rest and integration is just as important as any forward movement we make. Because without taking the time to understand yourself and to understand the path that you're on and the choices that you're making, how are you supposed to see if you're still moving in a direction that is for you and not something that someone else told you you wanted? And there's no right or wrong in all of it. Yeah, you may make a choice that isn't for your highest self. I would beg to differ that it probably was, and it led you to a greater understanding. But, I mean, in the reality, you learned something. So does it really matter if it was wrong or not? If you learned something important for your journey? But how many of us don't take those looks? They don't analyze the choices that they make. They just continue reacting to what life throws at them without using it for their highest grade, their highest gifts, or their best forward movement for what they want. They're just listening to the world around them. And that's where we start this episode. That's where my life was. I had designed a life that I had attached to based off of what society, family, friends, and my own internal thoughts of what would keep me safe and keep my life as peaceful as possible, and what would make me the happiest. And I did it really well until right around 29, 30. I realized that inside I was an anxious, overwhelmed mess. I had the life that I had decided that I wanted. I had a husband who loved me deeply, and I knew that. I knew that in my body. I trusted that. I knew that he wanted to be with me. I had 4 amazing kids. I was privileged to be a stay-at-home mom in a world that it's damn near impossible. But we figured it out. It wasn't easy. We were definitely living paycheck to paycheck, but we had the life that we had dreamed into existence. He wanted to be the provider. I wanted to be a mom and a wife and a caregiver. But yet inside, I was drowning and miserable and judging myself harshly for feeling that way. Because how could I feel this way when I had these amazing kids, an amazing husband who worked his ass off for us? And then right before COVID hit, some things started coming into my awareness. I had learned about angel numbers, and I learned about them because I kept seeing 1111 on the clock. And I was like, what is this? Like, I just had this thought, like, what is this trying to tell me? Like, why do I keep seeing this? And I did some Googling and realized there's this thing called angel numbers, and it said that your angels were speaking to you, and when you saw this number, you should take reflection in what's going on around you at that moment, or what thoughts that you're having. And at one point, I realized that I had seen 1111, and at that same moment, I had seen a post from a friend of mine that I used to work with, and they had a job offer at the job that we met at. And I had said that I would never go back. But something in me was like, I need to get back into the world. I had been hiding, and I loved my kids, but I needed to tap into the adult side of myself and be around society. So I went and applied, and I figured it out. And we found childcare, we found stuff we could afford, and I went back to work for a while. And it was one of the greatest things I could have done. I didn't stay at the job very long because then COVID hit. And once COVID happened, I had to go back home because there was no one that could watch my kids. But what I realized by being there was I did need more. And there was nothing wrong with wanting more. I could be more than the identities that I had chosen. I wasn't just a mom. I wasn't just a partner. I was a human. And I had forgotten that there was so much more inside of me than just what I offered to my family. And that was one of the first steps of taking back my power. Instead of living for my family, I started living for me. But I didn't know that at the time. I was led. So then COVID hits, and I started seeing things talking about trauma bonds and all of this stuff around, in our relationships. We bring in and attract people that fill a void for us. And I had realized that I had become a caregiver. And I brought in my husband because he was seeking somebody to take care of him. But also, I was seeking somebody who was strong enough to be able to support as well. And he could do that all day, every day. He was extremely supportive. However, we weren't happy. Like, we were just surviving life together. There was something deeply missing for both of us. And I didn't know how to navigate that. And then at the same time, he had asked me a question. And the question was, what are you going to do if I die tomorrow? Because he's a tree climber. That's a very realistic question to be faced with. And I don't think he meant it as deep as, he said it. But I felt that in my core. What am I going to do? I have 4 kids relying on me. And my entire identity it was wrapped up in him. He was my life. I loved him with every bit of my soul, I thought. Turns out I was attached. I just didn't have a label for it. And I started doing the work to break through that attachment because I wanted to love him, but not be so consumed that if something was to happen, I would crumble. Because I couldn't crumble when I had kids relying on me. They were my first and foremost. The identity I had chosen and attached to the deepest was being a mama. I became a mom at 18, at a time when I didn't know where my life was leading. Funny enough, I was having conversations about joining the military. And the day before I was supposed to go sign the paperwork, I found out I was pregnant with my first son. And I knew right then and there that joining the military was off of the table because there was no way in hell I was walking away from my baby. He became my purpose in life. He became a path for me to focus on when I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what steps to take. And it was the best thing that could have happened for me. I had him and I dove headfirst into being the best mom I could be. And along that journey, I didn't realize that that was like an underlying wave of passion of this is what I'm here to do. I didn't realize I had jumped so deeply into that abyss that I didn't see anything else that could come for me too. I didn't see that there was a possibility of having more than just being a mom. But at the same time my husband asked me that question, I was on a path of trying to do the best I could for my kids, who were also facing all kinds of chaos in their own worlds, being sent home from school with pretty much no answers, not knowing when they're going to go back. And, I had read in parenting books and online that they need structure. And, our home has always been chaos. Like, it's always been free flowing and we kind of just go with the flow. But I wanted to do what was best for them. So I started implementing like responsibilities, like, okay, let's do some chores together. Let's work together to take care of this home. because I knew I was overwhelmed. So I thought maybe this is teaching me how to also give my kids some responsibility instead of doing it for them, because I can't control everything. And as I was doing so, one of my kiddos got very, very angry and hated chores. And I get it, rightfully so. And he looked at me and said, "Why are you making us do your job for you? It is your job to cook and clean and take care of us. And it is Dad's job to make the money." And he was just being a kid. Like he's just stating how he feels, and he was very angry about doing chores. Totally get it. So justified. But at the same time, that phrase, that comment, said with that passion behind it, flipped a switch in my brain. And I realized that I'm sitting here telling these kids that they can be anything they want in life. Don't get sucked into gender roles, and just because society does things one way doesn't mean you have to. And you can do anything you want in this life. And then here's my kiddo telling me that I'm nothing more than a mom. And it's my job to give up my life for them. And I realized right then and there that they're not hearing me the same way I didn't hear my parents. They were watching me, and they were watching my husband, and they were learning from what we were showing them. And that day, I took back my life. I realized that I was failing my kids. That was what my brain told me. Like, you are failing. This needs to be fixed. So the start of my journey seeking happiness and joy, it didn't start with choosing me. It started with choosing my kids, because that is what felt passionate in my body. That's what filled the void that I was carrying, because my identity at the time was, I'm trying to be the best mom that I can be. And along that path of doing a deep dive to be there for my kids, I was met with, oh my gosh, chaos after chaos, change after change. I had sat my husband down a week after COVID broke through and said that I wanted to walk away. And it was the nicest, kindest conversation you could have, trying to say, like, I want a divorce. I didn't blame him. I didn't judge him. I didn't say anything about him. I was reclaiming my life. And I remember asking him, like, you can't honestly sit here and tell me that you're happy right now. And he agreed, because neither one of us were. We were overwhelmed and lost and just surviving. And I wanted more, not only for me, but for him and for my kids. And we had two kiddos. Like, I had a kiddo and he had a kiddo before we met. And I started taking a look into the relationship that he had with his kiddo. And I started feeling like I was responsible for how their relationship had pivoted. Because when my husband and I met, I fell in love with the parent that he was, the man that he showed up as. He was an amazing father, and he was fun and caring and silly and all the things that I'd want for my kids. And yet, over the last 6 years, he wasn't that man anymore. He was so focused on providing and working to bring in the money that he had lost who he was. And I started feeling awful for our kiddo. And that kiddo, at the same time as all of this other stuff is happening, he's struggling. He's going through massive changes in his life. You know, starting his preteen years and identity, trying to figure out what his identity was, trying to figure out who he was. And he was angry and miserable. And I realized I wasn't helping. I was making it all worse because I was trying to fix him at the same time as I'm trying to fix myself. And you can't make somebody heal or grow or see things by pushing, by yelling at them, or giving them consequences. None of that works. It just causes somebody to sit there and look inside and think like there's something wrong with me. Because why can't I understand this? And that's what I was doing to this poor kiddo without even realizing it. Because I loved him just like my own. Deeply. But I was hurting him with my love. And at the same time, he felt disconnected from his father, who he was so close to. And then him and I met, and I became mom, and dad went to work. I took over, and he felt abandoned. And I didn't fucking blame him, because that's exactly what we did. And I don't blame us, because that's what our path had to look like. For us to be led down the journey back to ourselves. Our life was speaking. We just didn't know how to listen until we did. And at one point, I found a spiritual guide, and she told me to sit down and have some patience, because my husband could be exactly what I needed. I just needed to let go of the attachment of what our life should look like and let him live his life while I live mine. And I was mad at first because I had made a decision. Like, I had attached to this identity of I'm a codependent people pleaser, and I am taking back my life, and I can't rewrite a story with my old story. But because of COVID, I couldn't walk. And my husband and I, at the core of our relationship, we've always been amazing friends. We see each other. We have amazing communication skills, even though we weren't using them because we were afraid to speak our truth, because we were afraid of what the other one might think or say. But me walking, saying I was going to walk, was the exact catalyst that we needed to both wake up to the fact that we can't be attached to one another. We cannot make our entire world each other. We have to find our own wholeness within so that we can enhance each other's lives and not be each other's lives. And he decided he was going to date me no matter where I was at mentally. And he supported. He said, I'm not trying to tell you you have to stay, but I am going to be who I want to be until you decide. And I'm like, okay. And I'll tell you what, it took about a year. But a year in, I realized that I was all in. Because if there wasn't a piece of me that didn't still want to be there, I would have walked the second I made the decision. Because that's how it was in every other relationship before that. As soon as I knew 100% I was done, I walked. I didn't with him. I used the excuse that I couldn't because of COVID, but if I really wanted it bad enough, I would have found a way. But I didn't. Because I was meant to stay and work through the chaos instead of running from it. Because turns out I was a really good runner when life got to be too much. I would run from the problem. But it took a lot for me to get there. And that was one of the first signs of realizing just how strong I am. But also, my strength can be an amazing gift, but it was also one of my weaknesses. Because throughout this entire relationship with my husband, I was strong. But I was not letting him in. I had not opened my heart to him. I hadn't allowed him to see me. I didn't even see me. So how could he have? So fast forward, and we get to this place of just chaotic moment after chaotic moment. But the day that we chose to work through it together is the day that we started setting the intention that life really was happening for us. We may not understand it. We may not know or have awareness as to what it's trying to show. But we got curious because we realized that these things were the exact things we needed. And if those were the things we needed for that, which was a massive deal, and if we could survive that, we could survive fucking anything. We started getting curious about what our lives were showing us. And I had decided I was going to be a life coach. I knew that I wanted to help people. And I knew that there were things that I was good at. I just didn't know how to do it. So I started looking at other coaches and dove into so many different courses. I became certified as a happiness coach and a confidence coach. Didn't know those were the exact things I needed for me inside. And then I found friendships and I stepped into the unknown and I started a podcast and I ran that sucker for 12, 20 weeks, something like that. And then I'd hit blocks, as other people call them. And I'd set it down and walk away. And I judged to an extent, why can't I make myself do it? But I had adopted this mindset that my life is happening for me, so there's a reason here. I don't understand it right now. but I'll find it. It will come. I had grown so quickly that when winter months would come, I would hermit. I would ghost the entire world I had created around me, and I would retreat into my home. And I wouldn't take very many calls. I didn't go very many places. And I realized that those were pivotal moments for me, because it was allowing my body to recalibrate, to get used to this new identity. And then it's just like the seasons. As soon as spring would get here, something would light my fire and I would leap ahead. And I would take quantum leaps into this new place, this newfound freedom that I didn't know where it came from. But it came from the growth, from all the lessons and the journey before. I had to take time to witness so I could realize that I was living in the present moment, and I don't have to shame it, and I do not have to judge it, and I do not need to feel guilty. I can sit unapologetically knowing that I am exactly where I'm meant to be. And other people are just trying to help. And I get it. They're trying to help when they tell you, you're self-sabotaging, or you're doing this, or you're doing that wrong, or if you would just do it this way, you'll find it. It will work for you. It worked for me. And yeah, there might be some information in those things that some of us need. I know there was for me. In every course that I took, in every training I took, all the free challenges I dove into, because oh my gosh, there were so many. But what I found is when I dove into those things, half the time I learned something completely different than what it was that they were teaching. Because I wasn't there for the information they had for me most of the time. I was there to be a part of that energy and see something in their container that led to a breakthrough within me. And I'm so extremely grateful for every single one of those people along this path, because there's been so many. And they probably don't even know. Like, they have no idea the impact they've had on my life because they were free trainings. I didn't purchase anything from a majority of them. I just followed what lit me up, and I would gain some understanding and one missing piece back within me. And that is a gift that we don't talk about because, everything's wrapped up in money. And money is not something that is my end-all be-all. And I've had to make peace with the fact that I actually hated money. I had a really negative attachment to it because I can see the pain that I attributed to money. But it's not the money. It is not the money that is causing the pain. It's the choices. It's the learned behaviors. And it's the language of survival that society has been programmed with. And I had to dive deep into that awareness because I had no idea that that was something subconscious that was in my programming, that I was afraid to let myself be seen. I was afraid of success because I was afraid of money, because money was wrapped up in something negative within me. And it's not. It is no different than anything else on this planet outside of us, which are tools. And tools are neither positive nor negative until we attach a vibration to them. And that was what I did with my husband. I attached a vibration of my love is wrapped up in you. My happiness is wrapped up in you. I attached to my children. My purpose was them. And we do a disservice, not only to ourselves, but more importantly, to the people we care about the most when we have our identity and our attachments all wrapped up in what they give us. Because it is not possible for them to keep up with it without throwing away their own life force energy or dimming to fit into what you feel comfortable in. You know, my oldest, he's 18. And 2 years ago, I gave him back his power. And I realized that he is highly intelligent and he knows exactly what he wants in his life. I mean, ish. I mean, do any of us really know until we're led on our own from our own choices? But he has this gift and this light of the world. And he can make his own choices and find it. And he's going to mess up. But he'll go exactly where he needs to go. And I learned that through realizing that my mom did her best for me. But I had this underlying vibration of I couldn't do anything that she would find disappointment in. Because, I mean, if she didn't understand it, that meant it was wrong, right? But no. It was just her trying to protect me for the world of survival. But I am no longer trying to fit into a world of survival. I am trying to fit into a world of living my fullest, freest life. And I know it's possible because I'm there. Doesn't mean the chaos doesn't still happen, but I embrace all the mess. And I can see that life is moving with me because I'm life. I've always been life. Life flows through every core of my being. I am not my body. I am not my thoughts. I am the energy that flows through this vessel. And if I am life, then why am I trying to live in the future or live in the past instead of embracing the present moment and realizing that I can trust in my abilities. I can trust in the life that flows within me. And I can handle anything that comes my way. And I will learn through every bit of it. And that's an important message in today's society because I know my anxiety was all wrapped up in fear of dying, fear of not surviving life, because I had these kids that relied on me and what would happen if I wasn't here to take care of them. But the reality is, life would move and they would be okay. But my attachment to wanting life to look like me being there for them was holding me back from living my own life and taking risks and leaping into the unknown to show my kids that that is possible for them too. And then even deeper into that, realizing that if I stopped my kids' ability from making their own choices and living their own life, what if, God forbid, their life is shorter than what I expect? And they didn't get to live any of it because I was too busy protecting them. And that broke my fucking heart. And I was like, I can't let my own fears stop my kids from living their fullest, freest life. I can't do it. I need them to be able to trust themselves, to be able to make choices, and to trust that they're going to be okay, and to support them and be a guide when they need it. And I will tell you that my 18-year-old and I have the best fucking relationship now. Because he knows that he can come to me for anything. I got him. No judgment, no shame, no guilt. I can hold the energy with him. But I also hold the space for him to figure it out for himself and give him things to respond to. And it's so fun because there's not this attachment of needing to have it right or feeling like I'm failing, because there's no failing when you're just supporting. You're just doing your best each and every day. And yeah, I still fuck up. We all do. And I go, ooh, I didn't show up as my best self today. I acknowledge that. And then it's over with. Acceptance. Acceptance that we are all doing our best, and holding that space for all of us to be able to be human instead of judging it and shaming it and being condemned because of the choices we're making. And I do believe that at the heart of it, everyone is just trying to keep people safe. They're doing it through love, and I get it. Because that was me too. But that love comes with conditions, and that is not true love. That is a box with chains. And it keeps us in this perpetual state of exhaustion and overwhelm, and never feeling like we're good enough. And that breaks my heart, because we are all beautiful and amazing and gifts to this world. Not because of what we provide, not because of what we do for other people, but because we exist. And I feel like if more people could feel that vibration, could feel that unconditional love and support in their bodies, we may have a lot less people feeling like there's nothing good about them, or that they're nothing but a failure, or that they're not lovable, trying to fit into spaces where people don't see or understand them, when the reality is we didn't come here to be understood and seen. We came here to understand and see ourselves unapologetically. And the gift on the other side of that is then that makes room for the right people to see us and understand us. Because once we see and understand ourselves, the people that are aligned with us come out of the woodwork. And that is the gift that I've experienced now, is I have an amazing network of people that hold different vibrations with me. And every single one of them is a gift. And there's no conditions. When I hermit and retreat into myself, there is no judgment. There is no shame. It's just unapologetically me doing what I gotta do for me. But on the other side of that, I am a lot better at communicating like, hey, I'm retreating. Like, I acknowledge. Because I don't have to worry about what that makes other people feel. Because I am my own hero. I am my responsibility. My thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my consequences of those actions, everything are mine. And if I am not feeling happy or joyful, or I am having a moment that I need rest, those are my responsibilities to take care of. And I do so unapologetically. And the people that are meant for you understand. They may still have feelings of bitterness or resentment or like, what the fuck? What the fuck, Sarah, again? But they accept on the other side and realize that that's also a part of their journey of why do they feel that way when I retreat. Because I am not responsible for anyone else's growth or anyone else's happiness or anyone else's joy or anyone else's life. I am responsible for mine and how I show up. And I cannot show up as my fullest, freest, most aligned self if I'm not giving my body, my mind, and my soul what it needs. So that was an interesting transmission. I didn't realize all of that was going to come through. I hope that you have heard whatever it is that you need to hear in this moment. I set the intention that those who listen receive exactly what they need for their next steps. And it may not be this entire episode. It might be one small piece. But if you have made it this far, I know that you've felt this deep in your soul. And if you are ready for someone who gets it, someone who has mastered navigating the chaos and knowing deep in their soul that it is guiding, but also holding the space that sometimes it fucking sucks. Because sometimes it is. Sometimes you just have to sit in that. But there comes a point on the other side where it is your greatest gift. And I know how to navigate it. And I know how to see. And I know how to ask the right questions for, more importantly, for you to see for yourself. So if you have resonated with this at all, and you can feel it deep within your body, that it is time to reclaim your life, to step into and embrace the fire of transformation, the fire of chaos, and start using it for you instead of just letting it happen to you, I will have a link in the description, and I would love to hear from you to see how we can support one another, how we can serve. Because at the end of the day, we are all one, and we all have a unique gift to share with the world, and I would love to help you find yours and reconnect with it. Because I know what it feels like when you get there. And it's just such a gift in my body to witness that in others. Witness the joy of being a kid come back out to play again. And it just fills my soul with so much beauty and so much energy. Because to me, that's what we're here for, is to play. And chaos is attached to kids because they are master chaos orchestrators. But the difference is they accept it and use it to learn and navigate their world. What a fucking wild gift, right? I don't know. It just lights me up. I get excited. So I'm here if you feel the pull. I'm ready when you're ready. And just thank you for your time today. Thank you for stepping into the unknown and receiving this transmission of light by embracing the shadow of the darkness within each and every one of us. Because it's not by fighting the darkness that we reach our own individual heavens or Eden or our greatest joy, our gifts. No, it is not with fighting it and pushing it away. It's with embracing it with open, unconditional, loving arms. And being the unconditional mother to yourself. And saying it's okay. You got this. Keep stepping forward. That will change everything. Until next time, have a beautiful, beautiful day, my friends.
Flow like rivers, wild and free. Dive into oceans that call to thee. Breathe in the wind, let it carry your name. Unapologetic living is your claim. Let the waves whisper your story bold. Their rhythm eternal, their wisdom old. Echoes of dreams in the sea foam's dance. Find your truth, take the chance. Rising, beckoning your soul. Crash through the doubts, make yourself whole. The world is vast and the water is deep, where courage wakes and fear's asleep. In every droplet you're alive again. With every ripple a new world begins. No need to hold back, embrace the stream. Unapologetic living, your lasting theme. Let the waves whisper your story bold. Their rhythm eternal, their wisdom old. Echoes of dreams in the sea foam's dance. Find your truth, take the chance. As we drift in life's great current, we find the freedom to be both flowing and kind. This is the